Sustainable Development Goal 11 is about sustainable cities and communities, while SDG 13 is on local climate action. The Ambitious City Promises Project, or we call it ACP for short, is drawing inspiration from the Seoul Metropolitan Government, an East Asian city, of course, which you know, in South Korea. The project is funded by the Federal Ministry for the Environment, Nature Conservation, and Nuclear Safety of Germany, or BMU, through its International Climate Initiative program. In essence, the Promise of Seoul is an ambitious and comprehensive strategy and climate action plan which aims to reduce 20 million tons of greenhouse gas emissions by 2030. And this document was launched in 2015 during the Iclei World Congress held in the same city. Now, what makes the Promise of Seoul unique is that apart from being an action plan developed by the city government, it is shaped by 10 million Seoul citizens, and all of these citizens have been making pledges on how they can reduce their GHG emissions at the individual or at the household level. The diagram here shows some of the initiatives that the Seoul Metropolitan Government is doing, such as, for example, tapping the youth to serve as youth energy guardian angels, meaning they advocate for energy conservation at the household and at their schools. There is also senior energy consultant, where they try and involve their senior citizens to provide technical inputs, for examples, on how to make their energy use more cleaner and more renewable, sustainable. There's also a weekly No Driving Day, or Eco Driving, to promote eco mobility and walking among citizens. There is an Eco Mileage, which incentivizes households which are able to save, for example, on their energy or water consumption. So essentially, Seoul government is trying to target specific stakeholders in order to get them to save energy, save water, and eventually reduce GHG emissions. And the idea of the project is that we want to replicate what Seoul is doing in 3 Southeast Asian countries: Philippines, Vietnam, and Indonesia. So we want to take the good examples of Seoul and customize it based on the local context of these 3 countries. So we are working with 9 model and satellite cities, so 3 cities per country, 3 cities in the Philippines, 3 cities in Vietnam and Indonesia. These are the model cities. For Vietnam, it's Hanoi, and we are primarily working with their Natural Resource and Environment Department. For Pasig, we are also working with the Environment Office. And for Jakarta, we are directly working with the Deputy Governor for Spatial Planning and Environment. We have started already to conduct the stakeholder mapping and the review of their existing local action plans. What we are trying to recognize here is that all of these cities already have existing climate action plans, and we want to help enhance this action plan by including more stakeholder engagement, more citizen engagement in the actions that they want to implement. The project was launched in Seoul last year, last October. So you can say that we are already like in the 2nd year of project implementation. And the following month, we had a national launch in the Philippines. And then early this year, the Seoul experts visited the 3 countries to start the exchange, the learning exchange between Seoul and the 3 countries. So there were visits where the cities in Indonesia, Philippines, and Vietnam were able to ask and talk with Seoul Metropolitan Government. How exactly did they start a certain initiative? What are their current policies, and how can they adapt these policies based on the individual context? Now, the project is working apart from peer-to-peer learning, meaning Seoul mentoring or teaching the 3 cities. It works on the basis that, as I mentioned, there's existing local climate change action plan and citizen engagement, with plus capacity building and tools and consultations. The end goal is to help the cities establish ambitious targets and low emission development strategy. So the project intervenes through this circle, the capacity building and providing tools and consultation, including the exchanges with Seoul Metropolitan Government. So part of that support that the project is giving is to help the cities in conducting their own greenhouse gas emissions inventory. So for that, we are looking at 5 different sectors. We are looking at energy use, transport, solid waste and wastewater management. If it's relevant for the city, we also look at industrial processes and product use. And if it's agricultural or has forestry, we also include that sector. The conduct of the GHG emissions inventory is following what we call GPC, or the Global Protocol for Community Scale GHG emission inventories. So this guideline outlines procedure on how to do an inventory. And eventually, what we want is that this completed GHG inventories will determine what now are the appropriate targets and strategies that will form part of the city promise. The city promise is like the city's own version of the promise of Seoul. But in essence, it is their local climate change action plan also. Meaning, it's something that they already have, and the project is now trying to enhance it by adding more elements of the science of it through the GHG inventory, and then the inputs from stakeholders through public hearings and workshops. Because the way that Seoul did it is that they wanted to get the involvement of many citizens and stakeholders. What we are doing in the 3 project countries is to do public hearings with different stakeholder groups. So normally we would have a discussion with the women group, with the youth group. We had some representations from persons with disabilities, even the business sector, to find out what they want and how and what they can contribute to low carbon urban development. So this is a picture of the public consultation in the Philippines. This one is in Jakarta, and for Vietnam, it's something that we want to start early next year. Apart from this public hearings and workshops, we are also trying to maximize social media and online surveys to expand the project's reach. So we are primarily using Facebook and Twitter. And we also have an online survey wherein residents of the city can answer and respond to questions about their current lifestyle, current behavior, and what kind of commitments can they promise so that the city can become more sustainable and become more low carbon. The idea is we want to measure also the awareness of citizens on how they can cut greenhouse gas emissions. Because greenhouse gas emissions is something that is quite technical and very scientific to discuss, we thought that it will be relevant to explain it to them in ways that is easily understandable, in ways that they can relate already, something that they are already doing. For example, how they travel from their place, going to where they work, what kind of food are they eating, how do they use their household energy. So these are the questions that are included. And we hope that through these campaigns, we will be able to widen the reach of the project and induce further engagements from the citizens. This is where we are at the moment, and public consultations as well as key informant interviews with relevant stakeholder groups are still being done in order to further enhance their action plan. The project's final output will be an enhanced climate action plan mirrored after the Promise of Seoul. And we are also hoping that by next year, the project will be able to start a pilot project showcasing how some of their proposed strategies can be implemented on ground. So that's something that is planned for next year. So that would be all from my end. Thank you very much for listening.
谢谢。那事实上呢，他那个 Renee 刚才跟我们分享了这部分呢，我想要对就是城市伙伴而言呢，我们今天这些就是我们这些同仁跟我们分享的部分呢，其实有一个很多的部分是想要让大家知道说，事实上新南向国家的各个城市里面，他们现在的永续行动的这个地方永续行动。在跟我们比起来是毫不逊色之外，因为他们的本身就是也是都是跟联合国这个部分接轨的。那这个现状的部分呢，也是表示他们在这个现状的情况之下，他们有很多的需求是在这个行数的部分。我们因为透过气候变迁这个最新议题，他们应该说我们都其实都站在同一个起跑点上。因为今天如果我们遇到气候变迁发生任何事情，我们很难幸存，他们也是。所以其实我们并没有说谁优谁劣的这部分，所以希望就是在城市伙伴部分的话，我们可以互相学习之外，那如果说是企业伙伴的部分的话，你可以感受到，我们有很多的城市倡议这部分，真的很需要很多来自于私部门的解决方案。在这种情况之下，尤其是在发展中国家，他们需要的其实不是我们走过去的每一步，他们需要的全部都是挖条的一些解决方案，就是 leapfrogging 的这一个部分。所以呢，在这个部分的话，就是但是我们现在一直都很难产生对话，所以原因是因为大家就是都没有共同的语言，然后大家说着不同的话，所以希望透过这个部分，但刚才 Renee 其实也解释了这个部分，就是政府在很多的倡议的情况之中，他都在做很大的努力，就是在共通语言的普及化。他希望让大家更可以参与这个部分，例如说刚才有提到说，就是很多就是盘查温室气体的盘查，很多气候变迁的减缓跟调试，大家都不知道是什么东西的时候，我们是透过各式各样的教育训练，让大家可以站在这里步。然后我想这是 Renee 为我们这边传达的部分是所有的城市，从首尔，这是我们东南亚城市首尔先进开发的国家，然后到东南亚城市，刚才提到的菲律宾、印尼。跟越南这部分，他们都是有愿景的，他们都是有心的，所有的城市都希望可以追求永续的。那接下来我们要邀请是我们辽国的Mr. Pawanasin Phongsa and Doug. Now the floor is yours. 那他会今天跟我们分享的 ，I'm sorry, I forgot. 对不起，他们刚才跟我换过。I think Joey is gonna be. Sorry. 他们刚才跟我换了顺序 ，so sorry. So 对不起，现在应该是所以现在是来自那个是我们的 Miss Joy Bidel， 她会跟我们分享我们的城市枢纽的这个计划。听说这样子比较会有节奏性。Sorry.
Hello, can you hear me? Okay, good afternoon. Hi, so I'm Joy Baldo. I work as a project officer for sustainability management in Iclei. We're based in Manila, Philippines, and actually office mates with Ranel. So for this afternoon, I will be discussing some of our initiatives towards promoting integrated resource management through the Urban Nexus project. And this project is supported by BMZ, or the German Federal Ministry for Economic cooperation and development, and it is also being implemented by Gcsf. So, okay. Okay. So we're actually currently now implementing the second phase of the project, which started in 2016. The project works with selected emerging secondary cities across 7 countries in Asia towards applying integrated resource management across areas of water, including wastewater, energy, and food, particularly land use, through concrete pilot projects. So for this session, I will only focus my presentation on our interventions in the Philippines. We have 2 project cities in the Philippines, which first is Santa Rosa City and Naga City. So since 2013, Iclei has been an implementing partner of the project. So we work directly with the cities. For phase 1, we were involved with 2 other cities in Indonesia. Okay, so let me just try and figure out this remote. Okay, what is the Urban Nexus? So the Urban Nexus approach challenges existing structures, policies, and procedures by highlighting the interdependencies between water, energy, and food security, the synergies and competing uses of water, land, and energy-related sources, the need for 3 supply securities of water, energy, and food to be protected and used in a balanced manner. And of course, the main principle of Nexus, the fundamental shift from a sectoral to a cross-sectoral and integrated approach. What we're trying to do with the Nexus is to break the silo thinking and work in a more integrated manner. Okay, so before I start off explaining our interventions in the city, and the 2 cities in the Philippines, let me just say that this is not an exhaustive list. I think I just highlight some parts that I'm more confident to talk about for this session, and I think would be relevant for some of our cities here. So how many of our participants are from city governments? Can I? Others? Okay. Okay. I saw 3 hands. From the national government? From the civil service organization? From the private sector? Well, I wonder. But I think even if you're not from the city government or the national government, I think this will also be relevant for
half of the participants
half of
are
them.
from
Okay.
local governments.
So hopefully this would be, they're shy, okay. Hopefully this would be, you can relate to this interventions and you can pick something up, okay? So first city that we're working with is Santa Rosa. It is one of the fastest urbanizing city in the Philippines. Before they were highly agricultural, but because of the influx of manufacturing companies in the city, they are now considered highly industrial. So because of this rapid urbanization and the rapid increase in population, it takes a toll on the urban services and the natural resources in the city. So among their biggest issues right now is the limited land available in the city, increasing groundwater shortage, there's no centralized wastewater treatment, and the municipal solid waste is being disposed outside of the city. And last, because there is imbalance in the development in the city, there are some areas that are rapidly being developed, and there are some cities that are being left behind. So because of that, there is social divide between the new city versus the old city. Okay, so through continuous dialogue with the city government and other relevant stakeholders, we have identified priority areas for intervention, one of which is the low-cost housing project. So through the project, we have assisted the city in designing a low-cost socialized housing building, and this does not only incorporate the basic social standards of a socialized housing, but we also incorporated their vulnerabilities. And this local socialized housing project will benefit the informal settlers that are located in vulnerable areas prone to flooding, and also the city government employees. And we all have also incorporated in the design the vacuum sewer system. So the vacuum sewer system allows the reuse of treated water, sludge as fertilizer, and eventually energy generation. So through socially economically mixed settlement structures and timely provision of basic infrastructure, the city will be able to showcase integrated and holistic urban development. Okay, so for the second city, Naga, just like Santa Rosa, it is also rapidly urbanizing. So it is the center for various socio-economic activities in the Bicol region, and it is also experiencing rapid increase in population, which also takes a toll on the demand for resources such as land, water, and energy. Among their major issues in the city is the contamination of water sources, and their landfill as of now has already reached its maximum capacity. So they're closing it down, and they will have to eventually find ways to an area to throw their garbage, or eventually move towards waste to energy. Okay. Furthermore, climate change adds stress as impacts manifest through flooding, low agricultural yield, and energy shortage. Okay, so same with Santa Rosa, we also conducted a series of dialogue with the city government and other relevant stakeholders to identify areas of intervention, one of which is the integrated solid waste management. So within the Nexus framework, implementing a waste-to-energy project is one of the city government's priorities. Other compounding solid waste management issues include foul odor from the dump site affecting the nearby communities, as well as ground and water contamination from the leachate. We have explored various technologies, one of which is the maximum yield technology. We actually had a study tour. We brought some of our project cities to China to investigate and see for themselves how a maximum yield technology works. So the technology is able to recycle up to 90% of the waste while requiring little space and does not require segregation at source. However, the city is still identifying appropriate technologies based on the kind of waste that they have. Okay. Another intervention that we provided for the city is we helped them develop their 30-year Sustainable Urban Development Plan. This is not required by the national government, but this is their initiative, a locally mandated long-term plan. So it intends to outline local urban strategies, programs, and projects responsive to the global sustainable development goals and Ambition Natin 2040. Ambition Natin 2040 is the long-term vision of the Philippines. So with assistance from the Nexus project, the city plus local stakeholders apply the design thinking methodology to identify perceived urban development needs of the city. So the design thinking is a human-centered and iterative process that is useful in identifying solutions for problems that are ill-defined. Okay? So next up is the Climate Change Resilient Pilot Housing, or the CCRPH. This is one of the more concrete outputs of the project. So in 2014, we partnered with the Bicol State College of Applied Science and Technology, or BISCAS. They have become a meso-level partner of the project because we have realized that it is important to also include the academe to ensure the sustainability of the project. So the CCRPH can be used as an alternative model for low-cost socialized housing projects in the country. The CCRPH is actually called a self-sustaining building. It includes rainwater harvester and solar panels. So it can support itself even if there's a typhoon or a cut in electricity or water sources. So it was inaugurated in 2016, and in December 2017, the CCRPH passed the Philippines National Housing Authority accreditation of innovative technologies for housing, or ITEC, and it was also recognized as the Philippine it was also recognized by the Philippine Green Building Initiative as the second most green building in the country. So right now, BizGas, in partnership with Naga City, is conducting trainings and workshops to replicate this technology. So we are offering this workshop to other local governments, other academic institutions, and even private developers. Okay, so aside from directly working with local governments, so ICLEI also help facilitate the conduct of national-local dialogues to strengthen vertical integration. So this activity affirmed the importance of involving different levels of government. So in this case, the national-local dialogue provide a platform for local governments to share their issues, their challenges to the national level, and in return, the national level will be sharing how they can assist local governments in addressing these challenges. So we have conducted this both for Santa Rosa and Naga, and this format was also used in Mongolia, Indonesia, and India. Okay, so among the lesson and key points from the Urban Nexus project, first, the Nexus approach should look at both the hardware, the introduction of innovative technologies, as well as the software or the governance dimension. Second, the conduct of dialogue should be iterative because solutions often cannot be decided in just one discussion. So if you conduct one national-local dialogue, make sure that you will follow it up because one workshop would not be sufficient. So there should be continuous dialogue. There should be continuous meet-up or follow-up from the local to the national and vice versa. Further, scaling up and operationalization of the Nexus approach will require elaboration of functioning business models for utilities, particularly exploring public-private partnership, because one of the major challenges for local governments is searching for financial support. Second, anchoring of Nexus into provincial and national structures. And lastly, enhanced inclusion of the private sector and academic institutions. So that's all. If you have any further questions, just feel free to approach us. Thank you.
Thank you, Joy. That was wonderful presentation. 所以我们谢谢 Joy。事实上 OK， 但是可以听得出来，就是我们ICLEI其实在全球做很多的事情，就是我们连接了很多的国际的示范城市的示范计划，那都是试图要解决当地的一些非常紧急的问题。然后呢，但是我们在做这些事情最主要的目的，并不是在这些示范计划之后就结束。我想很多城市也有很多的示范计划，但事实上这个示范计划更主要的目标是需要可以是希望可以让它扩大规模，或者是可以扩展到其他的城市。但是刚才 Joy 也在最后的时候有提到说，其实我们需要的是更多的合作伙伴。那很多城市他们第一个部分是他们需要有非常的具体的计划之后，他们才有办法拿出去跟别人，例如说做所谓的融资的动作。那这个在跟台湾的城市比较不一样的地方是，他们有很多的，他们在身为是联合国的一些会员，然后他有很多一些国际的一些跨政府的层级的一些开发银行啊，或者是一些联合国的一些融资的单位这个部分可以去争取。但是他们最争取主要的目的就是需要可以找到合宜、合理，然后合成本的很好的一些解决方案。那刚才有提到，就是而且他们这个部分目前为止在找的都是真正要找到当地的需要，因为有时候很多的示范方案，就是在过去他们也有感受到，就是很多都是政府做样子，所以他们现在做了很多的，就是会跟着居民一起，我们这个很多国际方案也是跟着居民一起去创造说当地的居民到底需要的是什么去做的。好，那接下来我们要邀请的是刚才已经唱名过的So Mr. Pawan Ponsa, now it's officially your turn.
Thank you.
在今天跟我们分享的是低排放的发展目标的合作伙伴。